Do we have anybody from Congressman or Congresswoman Grajava's office here? No? Anybody from the Pima County Elections or Recorder's office here? Okay, so they're running late. All right, well, everyone, welcome to the 2026 National Federation of the Blind of Arizona Legislative Seminar. We do have a pretty good agenda. We are waiting on a couple of guests here, so when they come, we'll definitely get back on track here. But I do want to welcome you. We have a pretty packed agenda. We are going to hear from the Pima County Elections Department as well as the Recorder's Office about voting, and we'll have an opportunity to ask questions. We are going to hear from Ron Brooks, who is going to talk to us about advocating for transportation rights for blind Arizonans, which is very important. We're going to talk a little bit about our goal to increase funding for the Older Living Blind program, and then toward the end, we're going to have some breakout sessions with some really awesome folks who are going to talk about either advocating in school or learning about your government. So we got a good amount of things here. I do want to welcome in the room, you heard them speak during the lunch. We do have two state representatives here. We do have Alma Hernandez and Nancy Gutierrez. Can you give them a hand up, please? And if at any point, if our special guests here want to seek the floor, members, what do we do if we want to seek the floor? I'm sorry, who was that? Kimberly, what do we do? All right, there we go. All right. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to say our names. We're going to start off because, let me see. We're going to start off with, Ron, if you can make your way up here. We're going to start off. So how many of you guys believe that as blind people, we should have equal rights to transportation? Um, so the gentleman I'm going to introduce right now is a pioneer in the world of accessible transportation. He hold on one second. Oh, is that girl Hollis?
I'm right here.
Oh, okay. Thank you for being here. Okay. Okay. Well, then, if you don't mind, we'll kind of wait until. Okay, cool. Thank you. All right. Awesome. So, Ron Ron Brooks is a pioneer in the field of accessible transportation. He's going to talk to us today about some really exciting things. I don't want to steal his thunder. All I want to remind people though, before we do get started, I always have to say this: the National Federation of the Blind of Arizona and the National Federation of the Blind, we aren't Republicans, we aren't Democrats. We are people who fight for the rights of blind people. Like, you might do something in your personal lives, but when you're representing the National Federation of Blind, you're representing the hopes, the dreams, and the aspirations of blind people. So we are apolitical. So if no matter what, be respectful with your questions, with your comments, and we'll have a great presentation. So I'm gonna bring on Ron Brooks here. For those who know, that this guy is a legend. I personally got to know Ron a long time ago when he was working as the manager for accessibility services for Valley Metro. He has now moved on to UServe. Has anybody heard of UServe? Okay, there's a few. So, and he was a presenter at our national convention earlier this summer in Austin. So to talk to us about some exciting transportation things as well as how to get involved in advocating for your rights in transportation, here is Ron Brooks.
There we go. All right. Well, hello, everybody. He called me a pioneer and a legend. Pioneers are old and mostly dead. And I'm not sure about legend, but because legends can be good or bad. Or dead or alive, that's right. So, but actually, I'm quite alive, and I'm very, very, very happy to be here. And it's amazing. Transportation's running early for a change, so we like that. It never happens. Okay, so let me just start by giving you a little bit about me. Some of you I've met, others of you I haven't. Ron Brooks, I work for UServe. I'll talk about UServe in a minute. I am a blind person also. So if you heard me coming up here with my cane, I was thinking as I was trying to figure out how to get around these long tables that it reminded me of my last trip on paratransit. Jordan was right in front of me, but I had to get halfway around town to actually get to him. So, and if you don't get that joke, then obviously you don't use that much paratransit. So, but I have depended on public transportation and vehicles driven by other people for my whole life. My wife, Lisa, who used to work at Savvy, those of you in Savvy Phoenix, you know Lisa. We were blind parents of 3 kids who are now adults. If it involves a method of transportation, we've done it. If it involves trying to figure out how to navigate a system that doesn't work well, we've tried it. And if it involves, I forgot that I need this for school and I need it tomorrow, and Walmart is closing in 10 minutes, we've been there, we've done it, we've bought it. So I know about the challenges about transportation because I live them. And I live them every day. Just like all of you, and I'm committed to public transportation, or not to public, to good transportation. It could be public, it might not be, but I'm committed to good transportation. My personal motto in life is to make transportation easier and more accessible for everybody. I grew up in a Midwestern town with my two sisters who were both my age, or just a little bit older than me, but could see. And it bugged me to no end that they could just grab car keys, and if my dad wasn't paying attention and if there was gas in the car, they could go wherever they wanted. And I had to do all the other stuff that just didn't seem entirely fair. So my mission is to make transportation better. Goals of this presentation. One, I want to talk about on-demand paratransit. Paratransit, what we all typically think of is that shared ride van, usually, that you call today so you can go tomorrow, and then you wait, and it comes, hopefully, within a half an hour window, and then you ride for some amount of time, and you might make stops or you might not, and you might get there on time or you might not. That's what we think of. But there's a better way to do paratransit. It's called on-demand, where you ask for it and it arrives. And we're going to talk about that. And then I'm going to introduce you to some advocacy tools that we have built at USERV, which you can use to advocate for anything, not just USERV. They are not specific to us, but I'll get there in a minute. Before I dive in, I do want to talk a little bit about USERV. I'm representing them here. A little bit about my role. I am the Senior Director for Policy and Partnership. And what that means is my role is to advocate within the company and within the industry for policies that support our values as a company. And our values are that people have a right to transportation that provides what we call mobility independence. We think that folks should be able to go where they need to go when they need to go. And we don't think you should have to depend on other people and other programs, to do it. So we also believe that transportation it requires safety. It requires drivers who know how to do what they're supposed to do. It involves drivers who are background checked, who have gone through a criminal background check, drug and alcohol testing, and all those things that public transit drivers go through. We are spending public money. We should meet the same obligations as any other company that provides public transportation. Not all companies believe that. We do. In my partnership role, my job is to connect with the communities of people that we serve. I don't sell service, and I'm not in our operations team. My job is literally to connect with communities of people, riders, organizations, and others who depend on our service or who care about people who depend on our service, to make sure that we are learning from the people who depend on our service so we can make our service better. I'm also responsible for communicating on behalf of the company to the community about what we're doing, why we're doing it, and to make sure that what we're doing works right and lands right. So USERV is a transportation network company. We're in the same class of business as companies like Uber and Lyft. We're not as big. We are a little bit different. We provide what we call assisted mobility. 25% of Americans, either because of age or disability or some combination thereof, need more than a typical curb-to-curb transportation provider offers, or more than a typical public transit or paratransit system provides. We exist to serve those people. I'll talk about how we do that when I talk about Phoenix Ride Choice, because we're a provider in that program. But our commitment is to provide service that is built for folks with disabilities, older adults, and other people who need the system to be a little bit more accessible. So let's talk about the presentation. I'm going to do three things. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Phoenix Ride Choice program and on-demand paratransit. Second, I'm going to give you some tips for advocating for these types of services in the communities where you live, because they are not available in all parts of Arizona, not even close. Third, I'm going to introduce a tool that we've built at USERV that you will leave this room if you want with a piece of paper that has Braille, large print, and a QR code so that you can get access to a free kit that you can use with some advocacy resources built around transportation. So let's talk about Ride Choice. Ride Choice, and I love Ride Choice. Ride Choice, I worked at Valley Metro for 6 years. I'd say the two things that I'm most proud of is, one, we got rid of paratransit transfers in the Valley. Those of you who have been around for a while, you'll remember that in the old days you had to transfer on Dial-A-Ride. You don't do that anymore, and quite bluntly, that was because we worked really hard to get rid of them because they were immoral and they were expensive. The second thing I'm really proud of is Ride Choice. Ride Choice existed before, but it was a skeleton of what it is today. In 2017, we rebuilt Ride Choice from the ground up to be a true on-demand program where you can choose your provider, and the program still works that way today. When I started at Valley Metro, 5 cities participated in the Ride Choice program. The first city we added to that program was out in the East Valley, and I'm trying to remember which one, real small town out in East Valley. But we added 6 more cities, and so nowadays 12 cities in the Valley, including Phoenix, participate in the Ride Choice program. So if you're in the Valley, with the exception of, I think, Peoria and maybe Glendale, if you're in any other city in the Valley, this program is available to you if you are ADA paratransit eligible. So if you've gone through Valley Metro's paratransit program, they've given you access to Dial-A-Ride and paratransit services, you're automatically eligible for Ride Choice. Ride Choice allows you, on a 24 hours a day, 7-day-a-week basis, to request and receive a trip that picks you up at your door and takes you to the door of wherever you want to get to. Now, there's a caveat there. Valley Metro calls the program curb to curb, and some of the providers are curb to curb, meaning that you need to go find the vehicle out in front of the street or wherever. But some providers are also door to door. Anyway, but the program exists for you in those cities, in those 12 cities in the Valley. The service levels, everybody who signs up is automatically enrolled to get 20 trips per month. If you have a need for more service, you can request more. And if you for example, you need to get to work, you need to go to healthcare appointments, you need to go to school, you have a recurring trip that you need to take. If 20 trips isn't enough, you call Valley Metro, they will give you 50. I don't know how it is now. When I was there, my rule with our staff was if they ask, they get. Because frankly, these services cost less than that expensive shared ride paratransit that we were using. If I could get people onto Ride Choice, it saved my agency money. So when you call and ask for more Ride Choice, you're actually saving Valley Metro money, whether they realize it or not. On the other program we have, we did this actually because of an NFB member at a town meeting said, hey, I live way out in East Mesa, and my trips are long. I don't take many, but they're long, and I don't need lots of trips, I need longer trips. So we created a mileage bank as a second option. And you can opt for this. And actually, the irony is I moved to Mesa, and now I use this program myself. If I hadn't been listening, I wouldn't have it either. So now you can actually get 400 miles in a bank, which means you can take any trip you want of any length up to 50 miles for $3. You just have 400 miles a month to work with. You get choice of providers. So Uber and Lyft are providers. Now, they are curb-to-curb providers. They will not go to your door, but they are curb-to-curb. They'll meet you in front of your house or in front of your apartment, in front of your whatever, and take you where you need to go. There are other providers like Userve and a company called Onward and some cab companies that are door-to-door. And then there are wheelchair-accessible vehicle providers in the program. All of these providers are available to you. The way you access the program is through an app which Valley Metro just created called Valley Metro Connect. It's not my favorite app, but it is accessible relatively. You should be able to use it with a smartphone. They also have launched a web portal, so you can use it online or with an app. And I believe you can also now book paratransit on that app, although I'm not sure. That service is available to you if you're in the Valley and if you're in one of the participating cities. And I won't try to name all 12 because I'll mess it up. But if you have questions, I can help you afterwards. USERV's approach to ride choice is straightforward. We are on demand. You can contact us anytime, request a trip. We are a better pre-scheduled provider because we're a little bit smaller than Uber. We don't have as many drivers in the market. We are very, very good if you book us at least 8 or 12 hours in advance. It gives us time to put the trip out and for drivers to get it. Our drivers are door-to-door service. That's their level of service. It is our expectation that they meet you at your door, and when they don't, you should tell us. We are really, really good at providing assistance because our drivers, during their onboarding, learn how to provide human guide. They learn those skills. And we are really good with service animals. We have a true zero-tolerance policy for guide dog denials. If a driver does it, they are terminated on their first offense. This is not, and I will tell you, I have a guide dog. He's not with me on this trip. I will tell you, I have sat in our corporate office when our CEO overrode me because there was a situation once when I thought the driver made an honest mistake because I wasn't too sure the rider was correct. And my own CEO said, no, we have a zero-tolerance policy. They're out. They mean it. So you might get a driver do it, but you'll never get that driver doing it a second time because they won't be around. So, and you can read our policy. It's going to be in some of the stuff I share. So on demand, that's what Ride Choice is. Ride Choice is a program that, in my opinion, every community of a certain size. I mean, if you're out in a really, really rural area, it would be a hard program to operate. But if you're in a city like Tucson or even Flagstaff or I think even Kingman could probably support, these kind of programs should be available. Because I got to tell you, as a blind person, there are times when I can't plan my life a day in advance. I don't know about you. So let's talk about advocating for on-demand transportation. First off, this is super important. It is not an ADA requirement for transit agencies to provide this level of service. They are required to provide that shared ride ADA paratransit that you book next day and pay twice as much for the pleasure as anybody else in the service. And I'm going to come back to that in a minute. These programs on demand are not required. And it's important to know that because how you advocate for something that's legally required is different than how you advocate for something that's not. When it's legally required, you can simply go to the agency that regulates and you can demand that they enforce the law, and hopefully they do. When it's not required, you have to do it a little different. You've got to get support from politicians and from people who make decisions and who allocate money. So it's a little bit of a different approach. A couple of things to keep in mind about these programs. One, they are typically less expensive than traditional paratransit. They are less expensive because they usually depend on providers who use drivers who provide their own vehicles, which means that the agency doesn't have to buy vehicles. They are less expensive because the drivers are paid for the time they are transporting you. They are not on a payroll getting all those costs. And you can talk about whether or not you like that approach or not. That's different. But as a matter of just a point of fact, they are cheaper than traditional paratransit. The only reason a lot of agencies don't like these services and don't implement them is because they're terrified that people like us will use them because they're really good. Well, that's the point. So yes, these services do save money. They are popular, and that's the balance and that's the trade-off. Another thing to keep in mind, these services, and this is a political argument, they create better flexibility and spontaneity and independence for people. I know people that have lost their jobs because paratransit did not get them there on time. That doesn't happen. USERV, as an example, because our job is easy, just show up and get somebody where they need to go. Our on-time performance is in the high 98s. Paratransit struggles to get 90 because it's shared ride and so many things affect service. So we are a good option for people who need to go to work or time-sensitive appointments. The last thing to keep in mind is that decisions about transit are made locally. The NFB of Arizona, as a state organization, can and should argue for certain policy things. For example, I think personally that it's not cool, I would go stronger than that, but I'm on a microphone. It's not cool that people with disabilities who need paratransit are charged twice as much by law as other people who need to who use public transit. That should not be happening. It's wrong. It shouldn't happen. And organizations like NFB and NFB of Arizona in particular can advocate at the state level for legislative reform that forces transit agencies to stop charging twice as much for paratransit. That can be done at the state level. Getting funding for transit is a good state level activity. Arizona is one of 5 states in the country that does not contribute any money to the operation of public transit. Not one dime. That should change. And actually, it is changing slowly. There's a little teeny tiny bucket of money that has been set aside for some rural transportation. We need comprehensive state level funding for public transit. The legislature can do that. The governor can do that. This governor probably would, but the legislature probably might not give her the bill. But it's possible. So these are things you can advocate for. At the local level, that's where you advocate for on-demand paratransit. That's where you go to your transit agency and talk about what you need. Now I'm going to turn to what we've created at User, which is a tool to help you do that. I'm holding a stack of Braille and large print cards that have a QR code on each one, and you can use the Braille with a link and type in a link, or you can look at the large print and you can read the link and type it in, or you can scan the QR code and you can be taken to a toolkit that we've created, which is totally free, that has tools that you can use to learn about transit and to become a more sophisticated and powerful and effective advocate for transportation. Because transportation is not going to be changed by me. I mean, I'm working on it, but I'm in the industry. And it's not going to be changed by leaders at the state or national level. It's going to be changed by the people in this room with your communities and with your transit boards. So your chapters, your members, you guys are the ones that have to take this fight. Here's what the tool does. You get on our website. You're going to be taken to a form. You put in your name and your email address. You hit enter. And you're going to be given access to a landing page that has lots and lots of resources that you can use and that you can share. And again, there's no cost. Some of the resources we have a dictionary of transit jargon. Transit has piles and piles of jargon. And if you know the jargon, one, you sound like you actually know what you're talking about, which is probably better than some of the people that work there. Second, you can understand what's being talked about. There is another document that breaks down some of the acronyms and abbreviations that we use in transit. Again, it would be nice to know that the SRTP has a CIP program and what that actually means. So anyway, we have those tools there. We have some other resources. We have a link to the Federal Transit Administration, which is the federal agency that oversees and enforces transit obligations under the ADA and the Civil Rights Act and some other laws. And I want to tell you that the FTA is still working. There have been challenges with the federal government. The FTA has fairly good leadership, and I'm personally connected to the person who's running the Office of Civil Rights. She is a person with disabilities, and she gets it. She's been there for a long time, and I don't know how she's hanging in, but she is, and she's doing her job. So you have a link to them and to their complaint form. So if you need to, if you've worked with your local agency and they haven't done the right thing, you've got the tools. There's a link to a class that I got to do for the National Research and Training Center on Blindness and Low Vision at Mississippi State. Totally free, hour-long class that talks about how transportation works, how it's planned, how it's funded, how decisions are made, and it has lots and lots of other information. By the way, the narrator on that course is my wife, who has a lovely voice, much nicer to listen to than mine. There are some other resources. We've got some information we've got kind of a document that kind of walks you through what are some tips to be an advocate? Looking for coalitions, finding people that you agree with. How do you kind of do the things that advocates do in the transit space? Where do you go to find information about who's on your transit board? Because they're all different. All those kinds of things are on there. There is some U-Serve information as well. We have links to, we have information about our service animal policy, information about our door-to-door service, some other information about us. So if you want to advocate for U-Serve, we certainly will not be unhappy, but you don't have to. You can advocate for any kind of transportation you want. That's really how it's built. So I want to wrap up there. Oh, and by the way, I have those cards, and I'll be around. I'm at a front table up here, and I will stick around. So I have those if you want one. And I'm going to leave it there. I don't know if we have time for questions or if you want to take. All right, then. Then I'm going to stop talking and thank you again. And thank you, Jordan. Thanks.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Brooks? Please say your name. I know there's somebody who has a question out there.
Talk loud, too. My hearing's not so great.
What was the question back there? Oh, we can't hear.
Yeah, we should. Do we have a roaming mic?
Is there an audience mic?
This is a big room.
Okay. We're going to run through. I'll ask a question real quick while we're waiting for the mic to come.
Okay.
Let me ask, have you noticed any other cities besides Phoenix that have really good ride choice programs that are good to kind of consider? Places like Tucson to model after. Like I know, for example, Denver has a certain version of it. Do you know any other cities that kind of are good measures to look at?
Don't get me started on Denver.
Is it like this? Or like this?
So that's okay. Denver had a good program, and it's kind of evolving, and it's
Okay.
I don't like where it's going. I'll tell you one that I actually really like is Richmond, Virginia. Now this is a user program, and I can actually refer you to a couple that are not.
Like this or like this?
I do like Richmond. Richmond is there's not a choice in Richmond. U-Serve is the provider there, and that's a little bit different. So I'm not, choice is great. Richmond's a little smaller, so they picked U-Serve, and we've done that program. The reason I like it is they charge up to I think it's $7 up to about 10 miles, and then there's a mileage fee above that. And the reason I like the program is it's super, super simple. Baltimore has a program that's very, very good. A program that U-Serve does not run that's very good is I just lost my place. Well, actually, we're now apart. We didn't run it. Was Boston. Boston uses Uber and Lyft, and now we're part of that as well. They have a kind of an interesting program where they give you a certain amount of use. I believe you can take $40 trips for $2. I personally don't like mileage-based programs because if you need wheelchair accessibility, those trips cost more, and I don't think it's fair to the people who have to pay more. But I do like programs and there are lots of them, folks. There's probably 30 or 40 or 50 around the country that are all kind of similar. There are numbers, and if you have specifics, we could talk about like why particular programs are good in a particular region. But I think Richmond is good. I think Baltimore's good, and I would say that they can certainly look at others as well.
Awesome, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, guys. I'm Hope, and I had a question.
Yep.
And that question was, what if you wanted transportation, but, like, what if you had to say, like, you book a fitness class, but, you have to leave in an hour. Like, you have to be there, like, 30 minutes before class. Like, I wonder if on-demand transportation is going to get to the point where, like, you can do that, where it's like, oh, I have to book my transportation right now because I have to get there and be there 30 minutes before class so I can see my instructor, Sam Joyce, because he expects me to be punctual. I'm just making up an example. Like, will on-demand transportation, get, to that point so that both blind/low vision and sighted people can, get where they need to go at the same time? if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, I would argue that it already is kind of like that in some places. So paratransit, the pre-scheduled, when you had to schedule a day in advance and you don't know how many stops your van is going to make, it's very, very hard to get the timing right. But for on-demand, like for example in the Ride Choice program, I'm pretty good at getting to. My wife and I, you're gonna find out how like weird we are. But we like to play cards with our friends every Wednesday night, and we want to get to their house right at 5. I'm pretty good at getting there within 5 minutes of 5 o'clock, one way or the other, using Ride Choice every single time. And this is a
Nice.
long trip in traffic. It works.
Oh yeah, but I wanna get to the point where I can like book the transportation that same day.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
You could, if my
I just
wife
hate the
used-
waiting game.
You can use it. Now, I wouldn't, to be honest, and Userve would hit me for saying this, but I wouldn't use Userve like that because we don't have enough drivers in a big market. We need more trips so we can get more drivers, to be honest. But in the meantime, Uber, if I need a right now trip on Ride Choice, I select Uber. And I do it with fear because I have a guide dog and sometimes it doesn't work. But when it works, I can usually get a trip within about 10 minutes.
Nice. I like that. That's so effective, you know.
Yep.
Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead, Amy.
Any other questions?
I'll bring you a mic. Thank you. Hope. You did great. You did great. Yeah.
Okay. So we got Amy and then Sammy.
Okay. Yeah, is there a way we can suggest another one? Like I was thinking, we could
Sound like Amy?
we could start what's called a ride share program, like some states have. That's where people that are going to the same place, they all take the same car, and it's called
So-
ride share.
Yeah. So real quick, with for example, Ride Choice, you can take up to 3 people. So that. Yeah, and these programs are typically operated by drivers operating their own vehicles. So there is a limit to what they can accommodate, but you can travel with 3 people on one $3 fare. So
Oh, up to 3 people.
So reminder, if you want the mic, please say your name first. So it was Amy's turn, so we're going to give it to Amy Porterfield.
Hello. Hi, Ron. I'm so glad you're here, and this is such an important topic for us, and we're going to have a resolution about it later tonight. So I'm curious. Can you help me understand the funding stream? So you were talking about places where where Ride Choice overtook rideshare. That just rideshare is not there, and it's all on demand. We've been hearing some things about how certain buckets are for paratransit and certain are for Ride Choice. Is this like a naming thing, or how does the funding streams actually work, and how can you convert?
Yep.
You know what I'm trying to ask you?
I do.
Okay, perfect.
Funding varies by city because every transit agency is different. How they fund programs is also different. I'm going to talk to you kind of generally. The Valley is extraordinarily complicated because of how funding works in the Valley. In general, transit agencies get some money from the federal government, which mostly pays for capital. So vehicles, technology, buildings, trains, train tracks, that kind of stuff. Some smaller agencies might get a little bit of federal money for operating service. That would not apply to anyone in Phoenix or Tucson. It probably doesn't apply to Flagstaff either, although it might apply to some of the communities around Flagstaff. In some states, not Arizona, there is operating money provided at the state level, which is often used as match money to get federal money to buy things, or it can be used for operations depending on the state. In Arizona, most money that operates transit is raised locally. So in the case of Maricopa County, there are sales tax revenues that come from, the county has a sales tax, and then some of the cities like Phoenix and Tempe have additional sales tax revenues that their voters have agreed to pay for transportation, and these programs get some of that money. Arizona also has some money coming through lottery funds, although this varies widely from community to community. Some of the valley cities get that. A lot of the money for Ride Choice in particular is coming from local city contributions to Valley Metro. So every city in the valley contributes some of its own local revenue that's raised either locally from taxpayers or from its share of taxes that are raised regionally. That money is given to the cities, and the cities decide how to spend it. That's why some valley cities are in Ride Choice and some are not. So again, it's super, super complicated. And of course, there are passenger fares, although they represent less than 5% of the total.
Can I ask a follow-up? Is that okay, Jordan?
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
So how do these choices, I know them different stories are different, different cities have different stories. Are any of them through propositions? Was it done through, how are these decisions made to actually dedicate the funding that they were using for something else towards on-demand fare transit?
For like particular cities.
Yeah, it's really city driven.
Yeah.
So, and I'll give you an example from Phoenix. Phoenix was, I just moved to Mesa, but I lived in Phoenix when I was at Valley Metro. And it drove me crazy because I couldn't use half of my own stuff because Phoenix wasn't participating. Phoenix did not want to participate in Ride Choice. They had a little cab program called ADA Cab. It was tiny and expensive, and cabs weren't very good. They were starting to kind of die out a little bit, and that's what Phoenix participated in. It took very concerted advocacy, both from staff, like people like me and my bosses at Valley Metro, some of whom were pretty good, and then it also took community advocacy through the city council to get Phoenix to move and agree to join Ride Choice, which actually happened after I left. So it took years to get them to commit. Other cities were all the way in. Mesa joined Ride Choice from the beginning. They've been committed to it all along. They don't mind spending the money because they recognize the savings that it creates, and they're happy as clams. So it really does vary by city.
Okay. We definitely want to talk more to you and pick your brain more. Thank you very much.
Sammy?
I don't think I need a mic.
No, Sammy doesn't need a mic.
Okay.
I'm good.
Hold on, I actually wrote a book, by the way, and I have a whole section on why mics are important, but anyway.
All right, 1 second, Sammy.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's good.
I guess I'll ask this real quick. Does it, let's just hypothetically say in Tucson, they're trying to implement Ride Choice. Does that necessarily mean raising taxes?
No. I mean,
That's
one of
the
the
question I get a lot.
one of the things you could do, and the question here for folks, does it mean raising taxes in Tucson to pay for Ride Choice? The answer is no. What I would be doing is designing the program. I'd probably start it small. I would design the program, and there are some policy decisions that can be made to kind of keep it a little bit small at first and make sure that you can cover it with existing revenue. I mean, you could raise taxes. You could go out for a bond initiative and try to get people to agree to pay more money for transit. And if you got that, then some of the money could be allocated. But I would argue that you could probably do it with existing revenue.
Okay.
All right, I got the mic, Ron.
Yep.
All right, so actually, it's a follow-up question to what Jordan asked, actually. Good point. Two, actually, but the follow-up question regarding Jordan is, so to fund the Ride Choice that you guys have in the valley here, in the valley over there, excuse me, even though we're in our own valley here, are you guys using MAG RTA money for that part of it to fund it?
Using what money?
MAG RTA money, the RTA, the MAG.
You're talking about the regional tax, the
Right.
$4.79.
Are you guys using some of that money?
So we just get paid by Valley Metro. So I don't know what they use. My guess is the answer is yes.
Okay.
That some cities are probably using some of their regional money for Ride Choice. The regional tax that the voters agreed to in Prop 479 has some nuances around how paratransit gets paid for.
Yes.
And some of those rules are tricky, and I wasn't there when it passed, so I don't want to speak to things I don't know. But I believe some of the cities are probably using MAG money.
Okay.
Yep.
And you know what? In Pima County, as you know, down here we have an RTA system as well, actually, just like in Maricopa.
Yeah,
But-
just not as much money.
Yeah, but it's over 20 years. But we just renewed it actually back in the spring. Anyway, another question I have for you. You talked about ride choice. What would, to do it on a statewide level, how much would the state have to put in? How much money would the state have to contribute to make it successful for it to occur?
So I'm going to speak.
And the reason why I'm asking is we got legislators in the room, so I hope they're taking notes.
So I'm gonna tell you, I don't believe, and you know, it hurts my heart to say this, I don't believe that you could have an effective ride choice type program in the entire state of Arizona. We have too many areas where the density of population won't support it, and
Let's
where
say
the
Pima
travel
and
time.
Maricopa then.
Yeah, I don't think it's a practical. I don't think you could get enough money to pay for it. I think it is practical to help cities with some revenue that counties can pull down and decide what to do with. But here's where it starts. Arizona doesn't need to fund ride choice. What Arizona needs to do is fund public transit. Right now, they don't.
Well, I mean, there's one limited source you said earlier, the LTAF money. That's the lottery money.
That is not
Limited. It's real limited.
LTAF money is not a thing anymore. That was
it
that
got
was a thing in
phased
the old
out,
days.
Yeah, but it wasn't. And we, you know, obviously, if we could change the gas tax, which would require changing the state constitution, that's just a hell of a heavy lift, and it required the voters to sign off on that.
If I were NFB and advocating at a state level, I would advocate to get the state of Arizona to start contributing money to the operation of public transit. And there are lots and lots of models from other states that the technical people could sit down and look at and go, what's a good model for Arizona? I think asking for a very specific program at a statewide level is not feasible. I think it's more feasible to get the state to be a funding entity and to leave decisions about how programs work to local communities who understand their own needs better.
Well, maybe we could change that through the state shared revenue process that the state gives money to the cities and counties.
All right, other questions?
Next.
This will be the last question, okay?
All right. The lady in the back was next.
Oh, there was somebody before? Yeah, Lola Rainey. Oh, Lola, okay. So
I'm
Lola,
coming.
and then Gary, and then that's it. And then you gotta move on.
Ms. Lola,
Even though this is
is that
fantastic.
you? About 6 inches from me.
Okay. Yeah, one of the things maybe you can clarify the difference between what we're talking about. Is this strictly for the disabled, or is it a public transportation program that's open to everybody? I wasn't clear on that because.
Yep, sure.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to tell you that it varies. Even within ride choice, there are some communities in the valley that participate in ride choice, which have opened the program to ADA paratransit eligible people and seniors 65 and older. There are other cities in the valley that require you to be ADA paratransit eligible. So it varies, but in general, this program is designed for folks who cannot use traditional kinds of public transportation because of either age and health-related conditions or a disability.
Okay. I think that's, to me, just personally, it seems like an easier sale
Yeah.
to promote than having public transportation, which to me always is tied into access and economics of who gets access to what communities and who do you want in your community.
Yep.
I think we have a much better appeal to a wider group of people about the benefits of this program. So my question is, why is it that Tucson has not been able to do what Phoenix has been able to do in terms of making a pitch for this service? Is it just the pitch, or is it?
I think there are people down here that would like to do it. It's just it's a priority like anything else. You've got to get enough people inside government talking about the need and committed to the decision. There are people in Tucson. There are people down at Pima RTA who would support a program like this. You just need a critical mass, and then you need a funding source.
All right, thank you.
All right, last question, I believe it was Gary.
Coming on over, Gary.
Perfect. Okay. One big question I had was, does the use of ride choice and UServe, does that require ADA approval?
It does, in the Phoenix region, most cities allow only people who are ADA paratransit eligible. Some
Okay.
communities allow either ADA paratransit eligible or age 65 and above.
Okay, so what are the minimum requirements basically? Because I applied a while ago basically, and it seemed to indicate that if I can walk more than like a couple of blocks basically, then I do not qualify.
So that's a whole nother workshop on paratransit eligibility. The short answer is that you need to be able to demonstrate that because of a disability or health-related condition, you are unable, either sometimes or all of the time, to use public transit such as bus or light
Gotcha.
rail.
Okay.
You also have, I'm going to just answer this and then stop because we don't have time to go into the details. You do have a right to appeal. If you get a decision from Valley Metro or
Right.
any agency
This
that
would-
you don't agree with, you have a legal, federally guaranteed right to
Okay.
appeal that decision.
Okay. This would have
So-
been Suntran basically, and what they ended up doing was sending me to a physical therapist.
Yep.
And I don't know why they're doing that when
Uh-huh.
when I'm applying based on blindness basically.
Yep. Got it.
That, and I know you're not responsible for that. I
Yeah.
was just trying to see if I could get an educated answer from somebody who knows
Yep.
their stuff.
Well, take one of these cards. We're going to wrap it up, but I've got
All
these
right.
cards up here, folks. They'll give you some advocacy tips, and then I don't have to take them home. Thank you, everybody, for your attention.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. And by the way, nobody should walk out of this room without grabbing those cards that he was talking about. So everybody needs to go ahead and find them. We have no excuse not to advocate. If you want the transportation here in Tucson, or if you want some improvements in the valley, it's up to us. Sounds good. Maybe we could put them right next to the podium. So to the left of the podium, right here. Perfect. Thank you, sir. By the way, he does own his own company called Accessible Avenue. So that's pretty cool, too. Can we give it up one more time for Mr. Brooks, please? All right. So, real quickly, we have a few special guests here that we need to make sure we allow them some airtime here. But I want to, first of all, let everybody know we have someone in the room who ran for Pima County Treasurer and received 40,000 votes. This person is blind. He is a federationist. He's a longtime member of this organization. And he is a great friend. And when I first started this journey of advocating, this guy took me under his wings. It's a pleasure to introduce for a few words and to introduce our special guest here, none other than Mr. Sami Hamed.
Jordan, you shouldn't give me the mic, man, because a few words means 100.
No, a few words.
I'm
Sami,
kidding,
a few
I'm
words.
kidding. Thanks, everybody. Well, I want to take a moment and say, well, first of all, real quick, thanks very much for all who voted for me in 2024. To 2028, never say never, like the old saying goes.
Let's go. We're going to get you elected, Sami.
I want to take a moment to invite two quick speakers up here for briefly. In my legislative district, District 20, I have the privilege of calling and knowing as my representatives and senator, but also friends as well, Senator Salian Gonzalez and Representative Alma Hernandez. They've been friends of the Federation. They've fought for the Federation and voted for the Federation's priorities at the state capitol. So, Senator and Representative, come on up if you guys want to say a few words.
Absolutely. Let's hear it one more time while they're making their way up here, guys.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to say a few words, for inviting me to listen to your concerns. I am Senator Salian Gonzalez, representing Legislative District 20. I'm always happy and willing to hear the concerns of all of my constituents, and happy to welcome all of you to the state capitol. I would like to invite all of you to keep coming every year to advocate for yourselves and for your loved ones at the Capitol, and happy to host you there. Well, I've been hosting you for the last 8 years in the Senate, and now I'm going to represent and host you in the House in the coming new year, and was just reelected to the House, and so happy to continue the fight. Thank you. Happy I sit on currently I sit on the Health Committee in the Senate, and I'm the ranking member for the House, for the Senate Health and Human Services Committee. I hope to continue to participate in the Health Committee in the House, and to continue to work with all of you in your advocacy for all the needs that all of you have. And it's really important for me to be advocating for your needs. We have vision, and vision impaired people are important to me, and I have family members that have vision concerns, and so it's important that we all continue to work together to provide the services and the needs that all of our constituents need, especially in voting. I've always been an advocate to be able to allow and to have people with that are blind or have vision impairments to be able to vote in a very concerted way and privately, and with assistance or with a machinery that allows you for you to really for your voice to be heard on the ballot. And so I'm really happy to be here. Right. Thank you. So thank you again for inviting me, and I'll be here if anybody would like to ask me questions afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I think you wanted to say a few more words.
Yeah, if you can come up as well. Representative Hernandez. All right. Thank you for being here as well.
Sorry, I know that there were a few new folks that weren't here earlier today when I spoke, so just wanted to once again welcome you all to Tucson and introduce myself, State Representative Alma Hernandez from District 20. As I mentioned earlier, I've met with a lot of you. I know Sophie, you've come down to the Capitol, Sammy, of course, and there are many others who have come down to advocate for the needs of the community. So I just want to encourage you all to keep showing up. It is very, very important that we are hearing from you all and what your needs are. Of course, you all know best when it comes to your community, so please come and tell us as legislators what it is that you need to see. As Sally, I have been serving on the Health and Human Services Committee as well for the last 8 years. I am a professor and I teach health policy at the College of Nursing. So it is really important to be able to have these discussions when it comes to access to care, quality of care, when it comes to our community here in Arizona. So just encourage you all to keep showing up. If any of you ever have any questions, we are pretty easy to get a hold of. I know some of you have already reached out to our office to help with assistance when it comes to our social services. So if there's anything that we could do, please make sure you reach out to us, or call Sammy. He can get a hold of us quickly. But I just want to really, truly thank all of you for your advocacy and the work that you're doing. But as Sally said, we welcome you to the Capitol. It's really great when you all can come and join us. If any of you ever want to shadow us for a day, we actually invite you to do that so that you can see what it's like for a day. You can sit in on our meetings and ask all the questions you want, but it is a really great way for you all to get involved and hold us accountable too. So thank you all again for being here, and we're happy to be able to join you. Thank you, and welcome to Tucson to those of you who are not from here. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, Jordan.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Porterfield.
Yes, sir.
I don't know the exact date, but I would like to extend an invitation to our senator and representative to meet with us, the National Federation of the Blind of Arizona, in January of 2027 when we visit the state capitol that Tuesday immediately following Martin Luther King Day.
Fantastic. Good call, Mr. President. All right. Let me ask you guys a question. We can go visit, we can go, advocate at the state capitol or at City Hall. But what is a definite way to let your voice be heard? What was that? Voting. Voting. Who in here is registered to vote? Wow, that's not as many people. Who is not registered to vote? They're like, I don't want to clap. I don't want to embarrass myself. If you're not registered to vote, you need to. That's really the quickest way that we can let our voice be heard. And we are so honored that here at our legislative seminar, we have the recorder for Pima County, Gabriel Gazares, and I believe we have the deputy director for the Pima County Elections Department here, which is, he's not able to make it? Okay. Well, we will be hearing from the recorder here, so we're gonna have her say a few words, and then you can definitely ask questions. Before she does come to speak, I want to let everybody know that we did get a bill introduced last session, SB 1690, which advocated for accessible electronic ballot returns. So if we are voting from home as blind people, we should be able to vote electronically, right? And we should be able to have that vote count the same as everybody else, right? And we should be able to vote privately, right? That's right. So it's nice to know that we have allies in Pima County. I know that the Tucson chapter has been in constant contact with this office. So we appreciate the communication. So please give a warm welcome to the Pima County Recorder.
Skuktash, everybody. Anya Nyapchugi Gabriela Caceres Kelly, Bisan Mochkuk Amjad, Anya Woodka Pima Chukshan Ohandam. Hi. I always introduce myself in the traditional way. I'm a member of the Thanatham Nation, your county elected recorder for those of you who live in Pima County since 2021. I'm now serving my second term in office. Thank you. I want to make sure that I share the difference between the recorder's office and the elections department. Unfortunately, my counterpart at the elections department could not make it here today. The elections department is responsible for things such as designing the ballot. That includes Braille ballots, large print ballots. They are responsible for candidate filings, finance filings, and facilitating election day. My office is responsible for the voter registration rolls, early voting, including ballots that are mailed, UOCAVA, military and overseas ballots, which is electronic voting, and any communication with the voter, because we have your information from your voting record. That is, again, there is a big difference between the two. The early voting can be in-person voting, and an important thing for you all to know is that when I choose to vote, I vote in using our accessible ballot marking device. This is actually kind of a challenge that I have to staff members. I think the very first time I did it, staff members were not prepared and they were surprised and they didn't know how to operate the machines. So, of course, we have increased our training for how to utilize those ballot marking devices. I'm really sad that our elections department wasn't here today because they do have the ability to provide demonstrations. I would recommend you reach out to them and ask them. We borrow the machines from the elections department. They program the ballot marking devices and then we utilize them within our early voting. And we make sure that we have a hands-on training. We actually spend quite a bit of time making sure that people know how to use this ballot marking device, because we also use it as our backup. So in the case of electrical outage or any extreme emergencies, that's the form that we're using. So it is really important for you all to know that there's very many reasons why people choose to vote using the ballot marking device. The ballot marking device does have a headset, so you can listen in. You can turn the screen completely off so that your choices are completely private. It will read to you. It can change the contrast within the device, and you can also review the entire ballot the marked ballot before you print it, and it gets printed on a piece of paper. If you're voting during early voting, that gets put into a ballot affidavit. We ask you to sign it, and then that gets signature verified the same way as every other signature for every other ballot that we're receiving. Yes. Election day, I have noticed that they have also stepped up their training and are utilizing the ballot marking devices much more easily as well. I know that this has been a major complaint for many people. But I think that with your advocacy and you showing up to vote utilizing these ballot marking devices, that is the best way to show the need and to challenge both my office and the elections department to make sure that they are prepared when you come in. And again, like I said, we have all increased our training to make sure that that is not an issue. We do not want people being made to feel as if they're creating some kind of issue within the site. We want you to come and feel welcome and have your access to a private ballot. The next thing that I want to talk about is signature verification for early voting. Can I hear a clap of hands of who utilizes a Braille ballot? Oh, okay. We're going to do 3 of them. Who utilizes a Braille ballot in this room? Thank you. Who utilizes a large print ballot? Who utilizes an early mail ballot? Okay, so it's the majority of the room. One important thing, no matter whether you're using a Braille ballot, a large print ballot, or a standard ballot, all of those get signature verified. Signatures vary over the course of your lifetime. Mine, for example, when I was 18 years old and first registering to vote, I wrote every single loop in Gabriela Olivia Cáceres. That is a very long name. When I got married, my name changed to Gabriela Cáceres-Kelly. That is still very long, and I had to omit my middle name from all of my documents. Well, now that I'm a person who has to sign something every single day for work, and sometimes I could sign 100 documents in a day, my signature more looks like G.C. Kellyon scribble. I know from my conversations with the Tucson Chapter Federation of the Blind, I know Donald Porter and I have had a lot of great conversations about signatures, and some people maybe their vision has, maybe they've lost vision over the years, and they remember what their signature looked like, and you know, they can sign it pretty much the same way as when they were seeing. There are other people who have never seen their signature, and if there is an inconsistent signature, and that's what we refer to them as, if there is an inconsistent signature, we will call you. That's why the phone number on your ballot affidavit is so important. We want to make sure that we're able to contact you. people change their phone numbers so much. There's people who maybe they registered at the home where they lived, and they've lived there for 20 years, and they no longer have a house line. Maybe they're only using a cell phone, or maybe they're changing their cell phone numbers every couple of years because of better plans. Those, we really need to make sure that we're able to contact you. And so if you are using an assist, meaning somebody who is helping you with your choices, select your choices, we ask for their signature, your mark. So whether that's a scribble, it's an X, whatever it is, we're asking for that mark, and then a phone number where we can reach you. My office, if they receive an inconsistent signature, meaning a signature that does not match what we have on our voting record, we will call you, we will text you, we will email you, we will send you a paper letter, and then we'll do that over again every week until the end of the election cycle. When we get towards the very end, we get a little nervous. And so we'll try to call and reach out to anybody within your household. And we'll say, hey, we're looking for so-and-so, can you have them call us? In this day and age, I know people are very concerned about who they're giving their private information to. If you ever get a call from the recorder's office asking you questions about your ballot and asking you to validate your identity, if you don't feel comfortable, I would do the same exact thing. I would hang up and not give my information over the phone. However, my staff is trained to recommend to you to look up our phone number on the website and say, I received a phone call from your office. Can you transfer me to whoever I need to speak to? And we are prepared to talk with, we will transfer you to our ballot curing team. They will ensure that, yes, you did submit that ballot affidavit. That was your ballot that you submitted. And you have a choice. If you would like for us to make a note in your account, in your record, that says you are going to use an assist every time and we don't need a phone call, you can then say it at that time. If you are like, nah, I don't know who's going to be helping me next cycle. I want to make sure that I am in control of that every time. Then as long as you have a phone number, you can go ahead and submit that back. So I will stop there and allow for any questions that you may have.
We have time for like 2 questions, so Porterfield has one.
Well, and it's a little bit more than a question because 4 years ago, let me get a mic. So 4 years ago, we reached out to Gabriella Cazares-Kelly, Candace Hargrove, and Allie Bones, who was then the incoming chief of staff for our governor, Katie Hobbs. And we talked to them about the importance of an electronic ballot as well as ballot return, so that, you know, if they give us the right to vote electronically, we don't have to run out to Walmart and buy a printer and print our ballots, still stuff them in the mail, figure out where we sign them, and deal with them that way. But they get it. They understand what we're asking for. And when we talk about partners, this is a partnership those of you in Pima County really need to take advantage of. And if you don't know the process for registering to vote, you need to reach out through people like Jordan Moon, through people like your chapter president, because if you fail to vote, you have essentially abandoned your right to complain about the outcome. And I'll tell you, I complain about the outcome all the time because I'm not always satisfied. But it is one of those rights given to us in our Constitution that you know, every able-bodied mind, I should say, person has that right to cast not only a ballot, but a private and secret ballot. And so that's why we fight so hard for this, for the electronic ballot returns. You know, we fight for things like, you know, we have legislators that want to eliminate the early ballot rosters. They want you to have to sign up every year or provide identification every year. And those are things that our sighted peers, you know, it's considerably less of an inconvenience to them than it is to us because of the difficulty we have, you know, not because of anything we've done necessarily, but because of things that they have not done, which is provide us equal access to the polls. So I'd like to thank you for being here and appreciate the ongoing partnership and relationship we've had with the County Recorder's Office. So thank you, Gabrielle.
Thank you. Can I talk a little bit about the electronic voting portion? Okay, so our military and overseas voters, by federal law, we are able to send them a ballot portal via email. I cannot send it to anyone outside of that because it is a federal law. But what I'm saying is the technology exists. It's already there. We introduced that ballot portal, I think, in July of 2025. So it's brand new for us. And what happens is we send a login to each voter. Each voter has to be registered. They have to fill out a federal postcard application in order to qualify for that. We send them the ballot through the link, and then it comes up on their computer screen or their personal device. They're then able to sign on that personal device and then submit that back, which has completely eliminated the need to print. This is a really big achievement. This was pushed by the Arizona Secretary of State. And again, we implemented it last year. So the technology exists. I will say that it is not 100% accessible because the signature requirement page doesn't seem to meet requirements as what I've understood from some of my interactions with the Tucson chapter of Federation of the Blind. However, it is something that could be pushed. So I'm really glad our legislators are here to hear about that, as well as our representative from Congresswoman Grijalva's office. The other thing is there has been a push to include trusted agent within the groups allowable to send a ballot. So currently it's listed as household member, family member, caregiver, or elected official, and that's it. Well, some people say, well, what if I live alone and I don't live with a household member, I don't live with a family member, I take care of myself or am a caregiver myself, and I don't know any elected election officers who are gonna come take this ballot. So people have asked for a trusted agent, but it's getting very little traction because people are talking about it being a way to open up for ballot harvesting, which is where people go sometimes in neighborhoods and ask, hey, have you returned your ballot? I can take it for you. My argument is that people have to be responsible with who they choose to give their ballot affidavits to. But just so you know, returning it by mail, returning your mail ballot is still very safe and effective. And here in Tucson, we work very closely with the United States Postal Service. We pick up the ballots in bipartisan teams daily. They provide us with an email report that says the number of pieces we should be expecting so that we know which size vehicle to bring. And we go and pick those up. They are kept separately and securely until we arrive. So.
I'm sorry, but I think we Well, look, okay, ask your question really quick, and then we'll move on, because you did call.
I can no longer read any type of pen, so I use a no bleed marker. I can no longer read regular pens, so I have to use markers. So I'm buying now the no bleed markers. When I did, because I'm an early voter by mail, I used my marker and it did not bleed on the other side. But when somebody saw it, they go, I don't think that's going to be valid. But it has not come back, so I assumed that it was processed with the marker that I used. Is that true, or will they be sending it back?
Yes. So even if your pen, even if your marker did bleed through, the way that the ballots are designed are so that it's not going to impact the race on the other side. So it's really important to know it doesn't matter anymore. There used to have a requirement that it used to be only black ink, only blue ink, but the technology has changed so much that as long as it is understandable by the machine or by a human being, because if it's not understandable by a machine, they pull it, you can utilize whatever writing instrument you would like to. And if you're, I know that there was a big controversy in Maricopa about Sharpies. They called it Sharpiegate. None of that is relevant. And before my late mother passed, she also was blind, and we gave her a Sharpie to use every single time because she had partial sight in one of her eyes, and so she was able to sign with that, and it's accepted. There's not a problem. My last thing, my staff have been specifically trained to be kind and welcoming to every single person who calls our office. If you ever have a question, no matter how odd you think it might be or whatever, feel free to give our office a call. My staff, we bring in extra phone operators. They have scripts that they can read off of for frequently asked questions, but please just feel free to give our office a call because we do have people who are very dedicated to making sure that your vote counts and that you feel confident with the process.
Thank you. So I should have no problems.
No problems.
Oh, God.
Thank you to
So happy.
Recorder Kelly. Can we say a big thank you one more time thank you so much for being here.
Running one of these advocacy
Oh yeah,
cards.
absolutely. Thank you. It is fantastic to have a partner in the recorder's office, especially when it's the recorder herself. So can we please thank her one more time? I'm pretty sure she's very busy. It is election season here. So thank you again, Recorder Kelly. All right, do we have Alvera Ben or Den, are you here? I am here. All right, awesome. So we are going to invite the district director from Congresswoman Adelina Grijalva, who represents Legislative District 7, Congressional District 7. So we are very honored to have a representative from the office here. Please give it up for her.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. So thank you very much to Jordan and to Donald and the National Federation of the Blind of Arizona for inviting our office. Unfortunately, Congresswoman Adelita Grijalva couldn't make it, so she wanted to be sure that I came to represent the office and make sure that if you all had any questions that you could contact our office and just know of the importance of the partnership that we have with you all. So thank you so much for this invitation. Like you mentioned, my name is Elvira Den, and I'm the Congresswoman's District Director. Her district represents 6 counties, it's pretty large. So a majority of Tucson, Southwest side, we have the Tohono O'odham Nation, we do have the West Valley in Maricopa County as well, Douglas, all of Santa Cruz County. So no matter where you're from in Arizona, even if you don't live in Tucson, you may be within the boundaries of Congresswoman Grijalva's district. So, it's always great to let people know that. And yeah, I just wanted to give a congratulations. This is the 80th annual state convention. That is incredible. So give a round of applause to yourselves. That is, 80 years of incredible legacy and advocacy. For 8 decades, coming together to make clear that blindness should never be a barrier to full participation in our communities, right? I learned so much from listening in on the presentations just before me. So it's really, really important that you all do this and continue to advocate for your community because, the policy and the work that we do has real consequences on our lives, right? So making sure that we can continue to have a good relationship is really important to our office. These are not abstract policy questions. They're important whether someone could get to work, earn a living, a degree, or participate independently in an election, or live with economic stability and independence. So Congresswoman Adelita Grijalva believes that the people most affected by policies are the ones that should be at the table, making sure that they're making the decisions and advising on those policy proposals. So I wanted to make sure that I shared our website and our phone number so you know how to reach us. So you can always go to grijalva.house.gov. There, if you ever have any issues with any federal agency, whether it be Social Security, Veterans Administration is a big one for our office, immigration is a big one, but you'd be surprised with tax refunds or the State Department or any random thing that comes up. With a federal agency, our office has caseworkers who are happy to assist you all in inquiries. And our phone number is also 520-416-7680. So it's 520-416-7680. So please feel free to call us. And again, congratulations on 80 years. And I just wanted to say thank you all for inviting our office and let you know that we're happy to be partners in the work that you all do. So thank you very much.
Thank you for being here.
No, thank you.
We appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, we appreciate her being here. And by the way, we had we are very fortunate in the NFB of Arizona to have had a fantastic relationship with the late father of Raul Grijalva, of the Congresswoman. So, we're very appreciative of the Congresswoman's support. So thank you again, Ms. Den, for being here. We appreciate it. All right. Yeah, let's clap one more time. Absolutely. Amy, are you still in the room? I'm here. Okay. So we have 2 more quick things. Amy Porterfield is going to come up very quickly and talk about our efforts with the Older Living Blind program for those who don't know, because I know a lot of people are new to the movement. And then we are going to have some quick breakout sessions to wrap it up. So we'll talk about what those breakouts are. But until that point, let's hear it for Amy Porterfield. She's coming around. The podium's just to my left here. Yeah. Thank you, Amy. Yeah, it's a, just got yes. There you go.
Good limbo.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. So today we're talking about the Independent Living Program, and I want to just kind of give us some basic overview of what that is and how it works. So the Elder Blind Independent Living Program is designed for people that are over the age of 55, who are not planning to go to work, who need some training to be able to stay independent and living in their homes safely and effectively. This program is really very underfunded. So on a national level, across the entire country, only $30 million is allocated to the Independent Living Older Blind Program for the whole country. I mean, think about $30 million is when it's like, ooh, what could I do with $30 million? $30 million is like 3 pennies in our budget. It's the most ridiculously low number. I think when you look at how many blind people there are in the country, it's like, what is it, like $5 a person or something less, even less than that, towards training. It's absolutely terrible. So the National Federation of the Blind is working really hard to work with Congress to kind of get that increased to be actually appropriately funding the nation. So the way that it works in each state then is that it's a match formula. So for every $1 that the state puts up, they can draw $10 from the federal government. But $30 million divided by all 50 states is not that much money. And so we are able to draw down our 10% with just a few $100,000. And that's it. There's a stop. Boom, no more money, and that's it. So currently, with the way that we've been funded previously, it does come up to $8 per person who's eligible for independent living services. That's $8. Like, I'm not totally sure that covers 8 minutes of training. And so it's absolutely severely, negligently underfunded. And so we have been working for a long time on the state level to ask for more funding from the state of Arizona, from the general fund, to be able to add to that match. We're already able to bring down all the money we can from the federal government. So if we can add additional money from the general fund to be able to fund more services, it's not very much money in the Arizona legislature, but it's a lot of money to us if you think about our current, when you bring down what we can get from the federal government and what we put in to match that, it's like $1.2 million for the entire state. And we initially, back in 2008, we asked for $500,000. It was when Bob Kresmer was doing it, and he was able to get it through, and we got that additional $500,000. That was a huge amount of money to add to the budget. It was about half of what we were getting again, So it was really important. And then 2008 and 2009 hit, and we went into our recession, and they immediately, after 1 year, repealed that $500,000. It was gone, back to $1.2 million. They took a lot of money from a lot of other areas in DES as well. Pretty much every single other area in DES got their money back between 2009 and now. But Independent Living Boulder Blind has not received a single penny more back. And so we have been working for years to try to get more added to the general fund. We have been working on this for several years. We've had 3 bills that were really likely and successful. One, we were asking for $500,000. It went unanimously through the Senate. And in the House, they did something called a striker bill, where they took the bill that we had and they put some other bill in its place and called it a different thing, and our bill just disappeared. And so they told us, okay, we're going to help you next year, we promise. So we went into the Senate, passed again unanimously. It passed through the House. And at the last minute, when they were reconciling the budgets, there were some things going back and forth where the different parties were not really connecting about the budget. There were some that refused to vote yes on the budget, and they ended up losing. Some of those people that were supporting us, they were sponsoring our bill, and our bill just, poof, disappeared, went away. Last year, we did it again. We went unanimously through the Senate. The Senate likes us. Went into the House, and we never got a hearing, not one hearing and not one committee. So you guys all wrote letters and called and really advocated, and we got a promise that they were going to work on it, get it back in the budget through the budget reconciliation process. They gave us $150,000 of one-time funding. That seems okay, cool. Maybe they gave us something, just a show token. They care. I don't know what to say, but what does that mean if you add maybe we get $9.3 per eligible senior that's eligible for ILB services? It doesn't touch the situation. So we're back again, guys, and we're trying again, because the seniors are, which is 40,000 blind seniors who are eligible for training, who want to live their lives, who've been working their whole lives and are now in retirement. And so many people, when they lose their vision, have no idea that they can live those retirement dreams. And with just some training, even not a whole ton of training, that people can reclaim all the things that they want to do and live the lives that they deserve after working their whole lives. And so we are back at it. We're still working on it. There's going to be more resolutions. And so we just really need each and every person to help us continue to advocate. We're coming back at it. And we're asking for that $1 million in general fund. And we want it every year, not just 1 year, because that's not going to help anything. We can get a little bit more services for 1 year. Now, say we get the $1 million. Do you know how much training that would pay for 40,000 people if every eligible person signed up for services? $26 per person. That's what we're asking for. It's not that much. And so this is what we're doing. We're going to be talking about it again in resolutions. We're going to work on it very hard. It's our top priority throughout the whole year. And I just want to make sure everybody understands how it works and why it matters, and that we're not asking for more than what the people that have lived in Arizona and supported us through their tax dollars their whole lives they deserve. So thank you.
For that explanation. And this is why advocating is so important, guys. So if you want to learn more about our work and our efforts and get more involved, continue to reach out to us, be involved, connect with Amy Porterfield, and we need to get this money, man. We need to get this money for our seniors. What do you guys think? Yeah. That's right. Oh, yeah. Speaking of seniors, is Diane Taylor in here? Is Kevin James in here? All right. One of you guys are going to have to spread out to the opposite side. So we're going to do some breakouts, guys. It's a little new here this year. I'm excited. We got about 20 minutes left. And for those who don't know, Diane and Kevin are fierce advocates. So Kevin has been in politics. He was a city council member. What city was it, Kevin? In Washington. Wow. Here. And Diane has been advocating for the rights of kids with disabilities for how long, Diane? 45 years. Yeah, let's clap for that. So, what we're going to do is we're going to split up, and you guys can make your way either to Diane to learn about advocating in school, like things like IEPs and how to get teachers to not just in like high school, but in college as well, and university, and how to get them to grant the accommodations that we need. How we can advocate as well for the rights of those who don't know, right? We know that this is a big deal right now, IEPs, and making sure that the education environment that we have is accessible for all, not just some. So we're gonna have Diane lead a session. We have some documents that she has put together. I will be bringing them back over to her. We have her working with Miss Heather. Are you here, Heather? Heather is here. All right. Heather is the president of our parents division, if y'all didn't know. So shout out to Heather. And they'll be talking about advocating in the academic arena. And then we have Mr. Kevin James, like the actor Kevin James. If you want to know all about your government, that's the person you want to see. I remember the first time I started to talk to Kevin, it was hard for me to actually end the conversation because I was like, man, I could talk to this guy forever about government. So Kevin is a fantastic resource. I thank them. They actually both decided, and they came up to me and said, like, we really need to have advocacy workshops. And they're very passionate about it. So let's see. Diane, where are you at? Okay, and Kevin, have you moved? Right in front of you. Okay, perfect. Oh, that's perfect. All right, so make sure that you guys, we're going to split up right now. Before we do split up, I want to say I have received a suggestion from Abdallah, who is the Tucson chapter president, to remind you that immediately after this at 5:30, the hospitality suite will be open for dinner. This is suite 340. You can get there by getting out of this area. So walking out of the main exit here on the second floor of this conference center, Right across, you'll see an elevator, or you can take the stairs. But if you take the elevator, you're gonna hit floor 3, not 3 rear, but just 3. You're gonna walk out of the elevator, you're gonna go all the way straight, keep the rooms on your right side. Then you're gonna go through the little lobby transition area, you're gonna go on the other side of the lobby. Now the rooms are gonna continue to be on your right side. And you're gonna walk all the way down until you get to room 340. And I'm pretty sure you'll hear some marshals out there. So without further ado, y'all ready to learn about IEPs in government? All right, let's do it. So I want to thank everybody for being here, and I want to thank our guest again. Before we split up, can we give a huge round of applause for all the people who came and addressed us today? All right, so I will be over working with Kevin, and Heather's going to be over with Diane, and let's enjoy learning. Thank you, everyone. Oh, yes.
This is Joe.
Joe?
Before we go, just curious, I know this is a breakout, so do we wrap up the stream here? We haven't-
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, streaming. Whoever is watching on YouTube, thank you.